I'm going to do a musical review, catalog review, StryfeSight on an artist and their entire catalog, or as much of it as I can within that week. And I'm going to speak a little bit about, not a little bit, a decent amount about how they, their impact and how they were as an artist, their content in their music. I just want to do it just really for me, for research purposes. There are some artists that were mega popular that I don't know a lot about, honestly. Excuse me. And the first artist will be Tupac. Why Tupac? Because I was born in 1990. Tupac's first album, Tupacalypse Now, was in 1991. And he died at 25 years old in 96. So basically his wave of popularity happened when I was single digits and not really able to care too much about music, not able to realize what people were talking about. So I will check that out later, Denzi. Appreciate that. But yes, that is what we're about to do. And we will start now. Now, his albums in order are Tupacalypse Now was in 91, Strictly for My Niggas in 93. Then Thug Life Volume 1, which came out in 94. Then Me Against the World in 95, All Eyes on Me in 96. And there was an album that was released after his death that he did record while he was alive called The Don Illuminati, The 7 Day Theory, in late 96, November to be exact. So without further ado, let's start on Tupacalypse Now. Boom. Bow. There go the album cover. Check it out. Now, Tupacalypse Now was made in 91, right? So, in my opinion, Tupacalypse Now was really interesting. It was the first album. I hadn't heard any of the songs on the album outside of Brenda's Got a Baby. So, but yeah, it was a dope 90s ass album, a dope 90s ass album. And what I mean by that is that it sounded somewhat similar to the rhyme style that Tupac used. Sounded pretty similar to, Naughty by Nature? Like the schemes and the patterns and the speed at which he rapped. I am not going to be playing any of his music, copyright reasons and stuff like that, of course. But yeah, they had it had a few pretty good, interesting concept albums, concept records. Brenda's Got a Baby, obviously, is the big one. It's about the 12-year-old that was raped and had a baby, didn't want the baby, wasn't ready for the responsibility, and tossed the baby in a trash heap. It is a really intense song, very interesting concept. The content in Tupacalypse Now was pro-black, it was gun violence, it was police brutality, anti-police subject matter, and the black struggle. It was pretty solid album. They had what was it? Is My Homies Call was a dope concept. It was basically homies over hoes before homies over hoes. Basically saying that I'm a be there for my homies if they call, no matter what I'm doing, call me, I got your back type of thing. And I was like, oh, this is a dope concept. I like this. And also they had another good concept in Heat. Another good concept with Part-Time Mother. Part-Time Mother is a song that is about mothers that don't really keep motherhood as their first priority. They may be addicted to drugs, they may be lonely, they have something else that becomes more important than their child. And to a point where it causes the child strife. You know, Tupac had a part-time mother. She had a drug issue. So there were times in this record, he says there were times that he was left alone hungry, you know, and that's really sad, but I do believe that is true. I do believe that is true. Now, yeah, this album also covered a little bit of drug abuse too, which was interesting to hear in the 90s, 91 to be exact, you know? And the bar of the album, I'm going to do a bar of the album every album. To me, that stuck with me, that hit really hard, is one on the song called Trapped. It was a single. On this album. It says, "How could I feel guilty after things that they did to me? Sweated me, hunted me, trapped me in my own community." And obviously, he's speaking about cops. He's speaking about how they affected him. He's speaking about him doing something to them. You know, like him shooting them or him retaliating or doing something bad to one of them. How could he feel guilty after all the shit they did to him, you know? And it's a hard-hitting bar. It's a hard-hitting bar and pretty intense, in my opinion. Okay? That was Tupacalypse Now. Dope album. I messed with it. Next ends up being Strictly for My Niggas. Or, if we want to say it properly, Strictly for My N-I-G-G-A-Z. So, my opinion of this album was a little low at first, actually, because the first maybe 5 to 6 songs I personally didn't really vibe with too much. I didn't until we got to Representin', which I believe is like the 7th or 8th song on the track. I mean, I guess we could look at the track list right here. That was not what I wanted. I wanted this. Yeah. So check out the track list. Show me. Okay. Maybe we can't see it. That's great. Okay, we can't. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think till I got to Representin'. Unfortunately, the beginning of this, it blended together. The beginning of it blended together. Going back to Tupacalypse Now, the rhyme style was like 90s fast and simple with a complex structure of rhymes, similar to Naughty by Nature, right? And Strictly for My Niggas, the rhyme style felt more West Coast, more like fast and aggressive, with less complex rhyme phrase structure, similar to like Cube and NWA, which is relevant because at that time, I believe Cube and NWA was super big. They were pretty much the biggest thing. Since when did that come out? Strictly, it came out in 93. So yeah, that would have been prime NWA popularity time. But back into this album. The album's content was about Black life struggle, anti-police subject matter, gun bars, representing your area, Black togetherness and pride. And there were several call to actions for Black communities, like, you know, stand up, you know, who gonna stand up and fight, you know, or we gotta fight for, you know, gotta fight for what we want, or fight for, you know, the way that we should be treated, which was actually pretty intense hearing. So Now the concept albums, there is Papa's Song was a notable concept album. Was a notable concept song for me. It was a song to absentee fathers. Yeah, it was a song about absentee fathers and how Pox was, and it was pretty fast. I mean, not pretty fast. It feels pretty bad, to listen to hear people. Not bad as in like it was not enjoyable to listen to, but more so just a sad thing to realize that how absentee fathers can affect their children. Now the bops were, they have Keep Your Head Up on this, and they have I Get Around, and they have Holla If You Hear Me. Those are the bops, like the singles on the album, some of the big ones. Represent 93. Represent 93 is a dope homage to relevant artists at the time. I really thought that was dope. There was a first verse in the song, and it was, like a classic Pac verse. And in the second verse, he shouts out so many people. Let's look that up, right? Let's look that up. Who does he shout out? I will just do this just because I thought it was really dope, right? Represent 93 lyrics. Yeah, talk to me. Got the images. Where we got? All right, now here we go. Peace to Redman, Tretch, Ben Rock. Don't know who that is. KG, the Great One. Don't know that. Mary J. Blige, Pete Rock, Troy, the Late Son, Heavy D, CL Smooth, Queen Latifah, Too Short, Tony Tone, Lay Law, B Cuts, Ed, the Special Motherfucker, and the Lover. Yeah, Ed Lover. The Tribe, A Tribe Called Quest, Jungle Brothers, DOS, CFX, EPMD, and Ice Cube. House of Pain, Funky Blooded Ass White Dudes, Cypress Hill. Yeah, the ill niggas, Digital Underground, my real niggas. Raw Fusion, Organized Confusion, Wicked, and look, you understand what I'm saying. There's even more. The entire verse outside of the last 3 lines of this verse is all shout outs to people that were relevant at the time in hip hop. It was impressive. For sure. My favorite song on that album, strictly for my niggas, is Keep Your Head Up. Honestly, it doesn't feel like it fits on the album. There's so many good bars, so many good messages. It's a slower pace, and it's truly fantastic. I'm gonna keep it a buck. It's a beautiful, really beautiful song, and the bar of the album for me, I was tied with 2 on this one, and it's from the same song, from Keep Your Head Up. The first one is, I wonder why we take from our women, why we rape our women, do we hate our women? I think it's time to kill for our women, time to heal for our women, be real to our women. That song, Keep Your Head Up. That is basically, this is him speaking on how I suppose the Black community were treating their women. And it's sad. It's sad, but someone as popular and prominent as him saying something like this could have actually affected somebody in that time to make change. And that's the beautiful part about this bar. The other bar that I thought was the bar of the album, like kind of tied, was, this is something that's still relevant today. Also, that last bar is relevant today too, because right now we have an anti-women movement, with like the red pill and some of like, if you're not like this, then you shouldn't exist. There's some of that rhetoric that's online, and the hate is still loud. Hate is still loud, and there's more people to voice it now. Now you have different voices you can listen to, So, not that I'm against or for any of it. It's just that it's sad to see all of the hate. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you. Now, the other bar on Strictly for My Niggas is on Keep Your Head Up. It's called We Got It, not called. It was We Got Money for War, but Can't Feed the Poor. The bar is relevant today. Today, I'm not into politics or anything like that too much, and I'm not very privy on why we do what we do, but I know America's in we are participating in 3 to 5 wars right now. I believe we still help with the war, the Ukraine-Russia war. There's a Gaza war, what is it, Gaza-Palestine? There's that thing. We just did something with Iran. That's 3 off the top of my head, and I'm not really tapped into what we do. But we also still have a numerous amount of homeless people in America. So, yeah, that comparison is crazy, honestly. Comparison is pretty crazy. But yeah, that was Strictly for My Niggas. It was a dope album in the beginning. I didn't really mess with the beginning of the album too much, but I did end up liking it in the end because the whole back half of the album was very enjoyable for me. Very enjoyable for me. Now, the next album ends up being Thug Life Volume 1. Now, this album, let's see what my notes be saying. This album, the rhyme style ended up becoming slower, smoother, and more direct and impactful and aggressive at times. The inflections Tupac is known for are very common in this album and beyond compared to the first 2 albums. And when I say the inflections, I believe that Tupac is probably, I don't want to say the greatest because that implies that he would be better than everyone, and I have not listened to everyone to be able to compare him to everyone. But I definitely will say he is one of the greatest users of inflections in hip hop to ever do it. And when I say that, let's check out this Thug Life Volume 1, right? What I mean is that his inflections, he will increase his volume and extend the word or the syllable at the middle or the end or right before the rhyme. Either on the rhyme, the word before the rhyme, or a word in the middle of the rhyme. He does this a lot, and a lot of people know it, but they don't necessarily talk about his inflections too much, and it makes his music more impactful, in my opinion. I like the way it feels when I hear him, when I hear him say, let's find a song, right? Let's go to On Straight Ballin' lyrics, Tupac, right? Let's see if I don't know. I'm not gonna do it as much justice as you listening to it will do. I'm gonna keep it a buck with you, right? I'm going to try to figure out if I remember one of his inflections in one of these bars while I get this together. This is Thug Life Volume 1 we're on now, his the third album that was done. It is it's honestly like a chill posse cut album, chill posse cut album. Now back to his inflections. Oh, here's one. So at the beginning of this bar right here, when we straight ballin', looks like the third verse, the last verse. He says, to my niggas in the penitentiary, locked up like a motherfucker when they mention me. Like, you hear how how I get louder on the last, on the what's the name, on the last syllable. To my niggas in the penitentiary, he does this a lot. He does this a lot, and it makes his music more enjoyable. And this is an example of him doing it at the end, like the literal last syllable of the rhyme. So he literally does it on the rhyme. But sometimes he just does it. Sometimes he just does it like before the rhyme. And then sometimes he does it in the middle of the rhyme. So if you listen to Tupac, you'll hear this all the time. His inflections are goated. But back to Thug Life Volume 1. Thug Life Volume 1 is a money over bitches, Cali car life, chill posse cut album that's filled with, gun bars against the ops, police brutality, and thoughts on his incarcerated friends, and post-life curiosities. This is also the first album that I heard Pac throw Thug around. Thug became really popular in the 90s. I don't know who is the origin of it. Maybe it's Bone Thug. I'm not sure. Not sure at all. But I know Pac did a lot of using, spreading the word thug out to the masses. But I believe this is the album that it started on in 1994. Yep, 94, Thug Life Volume 1. Now the concept songs on this, it did not seem like they had too much. But there is one that was really interesting called "How Long Would They Mourn Me." It was it's interesting because he made a song called "How Long They Will Mourn Me," and considering how major of an impact Tupac had in hip hop and many individuals that were raised by fans of hip hop, that is an interesting song for him. The song is literally about how long they'll mourn you, and it was interesting. I'll give it up. It was interesting. I'll give it up. My favorite song in this one was called "Cradle to the Grave." It just had a dope beat and production and a clear message that life ain't easy living in the ghetto. It's, well, maybe you don't know, but but yeah, it was it was pretty cool. It was pretty cool. And I believe my favorite bar is in this one is, I thought I wrote a different one. Maybe I did not. I think it's just because it's accurate. It's just because it's accurate. So yeah, my favorite bar in this one is "Life ain't easy living in the ghetto." I imagine the ghetto, what I know the ghetto as, is just basically a poor area where usually minorities are. What I grew up in couldn't have been as bad as what was in the 90s, early 90s, or what he grew up in. And also, I believe that New York and some other area, the more popular areas, for some reason were worse, or at least that's how it seemed. That is how it seemed if you listen to music or if you hear people speak about it, which is interesting. So somewhere like in the Midwest, unless you're in Chicago or Detroit, it wasn't necessarily as bad. I suppose the more people, the more trouble can be had. The more people, the more harassment from the police. The more people, the more ops that you may grow up with. So yeah, it was interesting. It was interesting hearing that song. Yeah, "Cradle to the Grave" is my favorite in that. On to the next. "Me Against the World." This is a super dope album. I was a big fan of this album. "Me Against the World," the rhyme style was smooth, steady, direct, and aggressive. The rhyme style seems to stay this way for the rest of his albums. with at times him getting more or less complex depending on the song. Right? So, but for Me Against the World, I am looking for, yeah. For Me Against the World, this was a very reflective, informative, somber, suicidal, and depressive album. It was a good album, but all of those things, all of those words I said were accurate. Seems his life became very dangerous in between. His life became very dangerous in between the last album and this. Poetry and freestyle win at the end of the freestyle, at the end of the stream. That's normally when a poetry and freestyle is. I am speaking about music, and specifically I'm talking about Tupac. I did listen to all of his albums while he was alive. As in this past week I did. So I'm doing basically a review presently. Preach. Do I still do those? Not necessarily. No, not necessarily. I used to do them every stream. Back when I was streaming a lot more consistently, but I don't anymore. Back on to the subject matter. Me Against the World, super dope album, but it was very informative, somber, suicidal, and depressive. Because his life seems to have gotten very dangerous in between this album and the last. You know, the song titles alone, like, check out these song titles, right? So, song titles: Me Against the World, If I Die Tonight, So Many Tears, Dear Mama, Death Around the Corner. All of these song titles make me feel the sense that Tupac was aware of his impending death. He was aware of his death, or he was aware that bad shit could happen or was going to happen. Not that he was psychic, just like, you could just look at this. Like this track list, If I Die Tonight, is the second song. Me Against the World is how, you know, him feeling against everybody else. So Many Tears, why would he be crying? Oh, whatever. This song is about, you know, this song is about the black struggle. This song is about black people dying early. You know, he's got a song called Lord Knows. He's got Dear Mama. This song is about, you know, letting his mom know that she's appreciated, because he's too busy, and this is like a note in case he dies without telling her that. You know, fuck the world, death around the corner. So yeah, so he was around some dangerous stuff, and this album really captured that idea, in my opinion. Now, my favorite song of the album ends up being If I Die Tonight, because it sets the tone. And this song has a crazy alliteration on it. I need to, not crazy alliteration, but it has an alliteration rhyme scheme, and I love it. Like, as somebody that freestyles, I understand rhyme schemes and patterns and flows very well because I freestyle, so I can do a lot of them. One of the harder things to do in rapping and freestyle is alliteration. Doing alliterations and telling stories, or doing alliterations and keeping them going. Alliterations are when you use the same first letter and you continue going. So If I Die Tonight, I'll just read the first verse, right? They say, pussy and paper is poetry. Power and pistols plotting on murdering motherfuckers before they get you. Picturing pitiful punk niggas copping please. Puffing weed as I position myself to clock cheese. You hear all of them P's right there? Pussy, paper, poetry, power, pistols, plotting, picturing pitiful punk, please, puffing, position. All those P's, that's alliteration, bro. That's fire, and it's very lyrical. Very lyrical. I actually am not very skilled at alliterations when it comes to rhyming. Probably because I primarily am someone that freestyles. Alliterations are something that you can do in freestyles, but they are a lot more difficult in freestyles in comparison to sitting and writing them. But I love this, and he continues to drop these alliterations throughout the entire song, and I fuck with it. It set the tone and everything. Now the bops on this were So Many Tears. Me Against the World, and Dear Mama. Those are the singles that a lot of people may know and have heard. Cool thing about me is that my father was not super into Tupac, but I did get to hear maybe 3 to 5 songs, and Me Against the World was one of them. So I had known about Me Against the World. I had known about Hail Mary and a couple others, but right now we are on Me Against the World, right? So to continue, one of the dope concept songs was this song called Old School right here, a 12th song on the track, and it's basically a song that showed major homage to those that came before him. Let's check out the lyrics, right? Okay, maybe we can't check out the lyrics. That's cool. Old School, Tupac. All right, let me see it. So where's it at? So yeah, first verse, chorus. Now look, in this verse, I remember Mr. Magic, Flash, Grandmaster Cass, LL raising hell, but that didn't last. Eric B and Rakim was the shit to me. I flipped to see a Dougie Fresh show with Ricky D, and Red Alert was putting in work with Chuck Chill. Had my homies Had my homies on the hill getting ill. When the shit was real, went out to steal. Remember Raw with Daddy Kane when De La Soul was putting potholes in the game. Like, this is homage. This is homage to the people that he was probably inspired by 10 to 15 years ago. You know? So I thought that was beautiful. I really did. Thought that was beautiful. Now, the bar of the album for me ended up becoming it was coming from the Me Against the World single, the Keep Your Essence, the power is in the people, and the politics we address. So this bar is relevant today. Keep your essence, the power is in the people, and the politics we address. So it basically is a statement showing that you should, stay focused and remember that the power is in the people, the communities, us, not the big people, not the millionaires and billionaires. The power is in the common people and what we all choose to address. And this is still true to today, still true to today. So, but yeah, Me Against the World was a fantastic album. I liked it a lot. It was a good time. Now, after Me Against the World, I'm trying to think of which one is after that. I think it's, All Eyes on Me. Everybody's favorite. I am not certain if it is my favorite. I think it might be. It's because this has too many bangers on it, bro. This is a really long album, bro. It's a really long album. The rap style for this one is the rap style is very similar to how it was in Me Against the World. But honestly, man, this album has 27 songs. 27 songs and lots of bops. It's obvious to see after listening to this album. It's obvious to see why it is revered so much. It being very long is not really an issue because it has so many bangers on it. It's got How Do You Want It? How Do You Feel? It's got that. It's got All Eyes on Me. It's got California. It's got the California Love remix. It's got the 2 of America's Most Wanted with Snoop Dogg. Like, man, it's got a lot of bangers. And honestly, there were a lot of other songs that Only God Can Judge Me is a big one as well. I believe he did a performance. He did a performance on like a talk show on this song. I randomly saw because now my algorithm has a lot of Tupac in it. So I just saw that yesterday. But yeah, Trading War Stories was solid. What else was solid? That I remember. Got My Mind Made Up is my favorite. Is tied between Got My Mind Made Up and No More Pain. Got My Mind Made Up has Method Man, Redman, Daz, and Corrupt. Like, that's a fire feature lineup, you know, especially at that time. Wu-Tang or Meth and Red, you know, that was fire. Corrupt has always been solid as well. So yeah, it's, you know, the content is, you know, plenty of threats, gun bars, insults to enemies, you know, there's, you know, just said descriptively and impactfully. And there's a decent amount of party vibes, but also still some pretty serious street songs. All Eyes on Me is a super Omega classic, and I see why people herald this as one of the best albums, because truly it really is. Truly it really is. My favorite ends up being No More Pain. I think I said this already. Either No More Pain or Got My Mind Made Up. So, and the bar of the album for me ends up being My Only Fear of Death is Reincarnation. And that is on No More Pain. That is something that a lot of people, I imagine, that are not, I guess, certain in how the end of your life is, can relate to. And there are a lot of people that are uncertain about the end of life. Even those that have devout faith, they're still like, what's going to happen to me? Like, you know, what's like heaven like? Or is there heaven? Or what's hell like? I don't know if I'm going to make it. Like, that type of stuff, you know? And what if it's just reincarnation? You know? I've had a theory that we do reincarnate, but we get absolutely no chance to remember anything of our former life. Absolutely no chance. So, but who knows who's right, who's wrong. But also, another bar that I liked was in All Eyes on Me was, when I talk about money, all you see is the struggle. When I tell you I'm living large, you tell me it's trouble. You know, and that is a pretty broad statement of him. I believe he was speaking to somebody. It was a friend. It was in the song. He was speaking to somebody, and that friend basically was changing. And that friend had saw that Tupac was getting into more trouble, even though he was living large and had all this money and stuff. So that was an interesting bar as well. But yeah, All Eyes on Me, fantastic, super duper Omega album. If you want to get somebody into Tupac, I believe this is probably the album to do it. It has too many bops. Too many bops. Even like, we can go to, I added some of these songs on some of my playlists, and you can see this is the section of All Eyes on Me. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. I have 9 songs, 9 of the 27 songs. So that means a third of this album I added. And this album is very, very lengthy too. So this is impressive for an album. Is impressive for an album. If there was a way for him to compact this, or for them, I don't know who was organizing his music, but if there was a way for him to compact this into like strictly the bangers and make it a 15 album project, woo-wee, would be kind of crazy. But honestly, it is fine the way it is. It is fine the way it is, and I like it for sure. Now, the last album that was technically released after he died. I believe he died in September. Yeah, he died in September, and this album came out in November. But he was alive when the album was put out. So the album is called The Don Killuminati, The 7-Day Theory. So And this album was pretty interesting. The very famous Hail Mary song is on this album. Let me look and find my notes. Eventually, maybe, who knows? There we go. Now, the content of this album was more about the Black life struggles, the ghetto, police brutality, prayers to stay alive, post-like curiosities, gun bars, smoking and drinking. Also, smoking and drinking has, I don't think I mentioned that for the other albums, but smoking and drinking was a constant in pretty much most of the albums. Well, not smoking as much, but drinking for sure. I recall hearing Cristal and Hennessy. I recall hearing that several times. But back in this album, the bops are Me and My Girlfriend and Hail Mary. Now, Me and My Girlfriend, I'm not certain who is the originator of All I Need in My Life is Me and My Girlfriend. That I had first heard that from, I believe, Jay-Z and Beyonce. They did that like some within the last 5 to 10 years. And I was like, oh, this is a cute song, I guess. I don't even know when they did it. But I didn't know that Tupac did this in 96. So I was like, oh, interesting. So is he the originator? I'm not quite certain. It is a dope concept. The Bonnie and Clyde, Bonnie and Clyde, me and my girl, we commit crime together. We ride together, driving fast, breaking laws, just me and her type stuff. I can relate to that. I mess with that. That's what that's what I've been striving to have, or what you could say I do have. So, but yeah, that's a dope concept. My favorite song on this is Against All Odds. There is a comment on the top of Against All Odds that says, this is the song that people think Hit 'Em Up is. And I actually agree with that comment because this song, it feels way too authentic and just raw, It's a raw message to Nas, Mobb Deep, Puffy, was it P. Diddy, among others. Let's check out the lyrics on that real fast. Against All Odds. Lyrics. Right? Oh gosh. I didn't know we was gonna go to a bright ass. So now let's see. Who all does he call out? He calls out a decent amount of people, right? Alright, so first we'll start here. 21 Gun Salute, dressed in fatigues, black jeans, and boots. I just appeared in the crowd, all you seen was troops. This little nigga named Nas, think he lived like me? Talking about he left the hospital and took 5 like me? You live in fantasies, nigga, I reject your deposit. We shook Dre punk ass, Dr. Dre, I'm gonna imagine. Now he out the closet. Mobb Deep wonder why a nigga blowed him out. Next time grown folks talking, nigga, close your mouth. Peep me, I take this worship deeply. Done seen too many real players fall to let these bitch niggas beat me. Puffy, let's be honest, you a punk. Or you would see me with gloves. Remember that shit you said, the vibe about me being a thug? You see, that was just a little bit of the verse. The entire song has this kind of energy, and he calls out more people in the back half of it. More people in the back half of it. That is, just raw and authentic. Raw and authentic, and I fuck with it. I fuck with it heavy. That is my favorite song on the album. Now, White Man's World is a dope concept album. Speaking on women and blacks living in a white man's world. It's kind of a tough song to listen to because it's like, it was reality, there was no lies really told in it. And honestly, it's relevant to today. It's relevant to today. Maybe not as much as people would think, but I believe it is. And The bar of the album for me is on White Man's World, the song I was talking about, right? It says, in time, I learned a few lessons. Never fall for riches. Never fall for riches. Apology to my true sisters, far from bitches. Help me raise my black nations. Reparations are due. It's true. Caught up in this world, I took advantage of you. Now, this is pretty deep. Maybe. It's deep because you can think about this in a deeper way, right? So first off, he's telling people, like, after he's already experienced a lot of money, don't fall for riches. As in, don't let money be the prime focus of your life. And then he apologizes to his real sisters, far from bitches, meaning that he's been calling a lot of females bitches. You know, he's calling a lot of females bitches in regard to grimy chicks, or maybe hoes, sluts, or hoochies, as he would say, that he was smashing or would, you know, set people up and stuff like that, right? So I believe the apology is because he refers to a lot of women in a negative way, which is why he says apologies to my true sisters, far from bitches. And true sisters being, you know, solid black women, solid black mothers, you know, and, you know, just women that he appreciates, right? And then the last section of this bar is, help me raise my black nation. Reparations are due. It's true. Caught up in this world, I took advantage of you. So he's speaking about reparations in the 90s. I had no clue that this word was even thrown around in the 90s at all. You know, black people need reparations, or minorities need reparations, or something like that has been a decent popular political topic within the last, say 5 to 10 years, maybe. So that's interesting that he would bring that up. But it is because the black nation or black people have suffered a lot. So I understand what he's getting at. But he also says, it's true, caught up in this world, I took advantage of you. He's talking about, he took advantage of the black nation. He took advantage of by singing and rapping the popular issues or the popular data about the black experience, about black women, about, you know, other black guys, the incarceration. He has profited specifically off of speaking about the black nation, you know, which is just black people. So he took advantage of, you know, using obviously his poetic skills. He took advantage of that. And he realizes that he literally took advantage of that. So I think that is actually pretty deep. I think it's pretty deep. What is my favorite song on here? Oh yeah, it's All Against All Odds. So yeah, that was the Don Illuminati, the 7 Day Theory. In conclusion, for me, that is all of his albums while he was alive. I'm aware he has a decent amount of posthumous albums. I am not reviewing those. But in conclusion, for me, I was single digits when all of this popularity was happening. My father had only played like Hail Mary, Me Against the World. Maybe I heard So Many Tears on the radio. Like I had maybe heard 3 to 5 Tupac songs. And there's so many people that herald Tupac as the greatest or the best, or and in that type of vein. And my opinion is that Tupac is both underrated and overrated. Now, I would say let's cover the overrated first, because that would be seen as negative, right? I'm only saying that he is overrated because sometimes we as people, we get attached to something. And when we get attached to something, we don't give room to research other things. So some of the people that say early millennials. Millennials started 1980. So if you were born in 1980, you were 16 when Pac died. So that means as a teenager, almost your entire teenage life at that point, you got to hear, So Many Tears. You got to hear Hail Mary. You got to hear Me Against the World. You got to hear all of this, and you got to see some of it too because of television. Pac was big. He was major. He was on movies, Poetic Justice and Juice. He was big time. A lot of people loved and admired him, for sure. So even celebrities, even celebrities as well. So the thing is about that, if you stop there, and I do believe that Tupac is one of the greatest for sure, and especially after this, it's not like I never did, but I would only say he would be overrated for the people that never went past Tupac. So are great people after Tupac. There were, that's just a fact. It's just a fact, obviously there's Biggie. After that, there's Nas, there's Jay-Z. After that, there's Eminem. There's, who else do people throw in these GOAT convos? Eminem, there's Wayne. Come on, bro. If you like Tupac so much that you did not get into Wayne, it's a disservice to you. It's a disservice to you. And this is why I would say he would be overrated only to those people that did not do research on the other people that are greater. Obviously later you got the Cole, Drake, Kendrick, there are greats after, and it's okay if you have them as your favorite. I don't have a problem with, I don't have a problem with that, but saying someone is the greatest and not researching the other people that are the greatest at their craft is a disservice to you. You're essentially almost lying to yourself because you haven't done the research. That's the only way I would say that he is overrated. And now I would say Tupac is underrated because I've heard a narrative that Tupac wasn't lyrical. That is a fucking lie. That's a lie. As somebody that freestyles and appreciates complex bars and delivery and inflections, he is not. I believe he was more lyrically complex early in his career because, as I said, on his first two albums, the rhyme style, he had a very 90s Naughty by Nature kind of rhyme style, which was really fast and kind of complex in the structure of how the rhymes were said, and less slow and direct and aggressive as in how he turned into that slow and aggressive. That the pop that everybody loves essentially is the one from basically Thug Life Volume 1 and after is the Pac that a lot of people attach to. The All Eyes on Me, So Many Bops, Me Against the World, So Many Bops. It's just that Thug Life Volume 1 was the first time where he really slowed it down and became more direct and aggressive. But Tupac Lives Now and Strictly For My Niggas, those two, he's rhyming fast as hell. He's rhyming fast as hell and often pretty complicated. So, and not fast like Twista or Bone Thugs, but fast for Tupac. If you compare Me Against the World speed, general song speed to Tupacalypse Now, you'd be like, whoa, who is, you almost might not even think it's Tupac. So I think he's underrated in regards to people say he's not lyrical. That's a fucking lie. What else? I also think that just like the overrated side is people not doing research on the people that came after Tupac, or giving those people a try. I think he's underrated for the people that have not, the Gen Z. Gen Z starts, I think, at 97, which is after Tupac is, after Tupac is not with us, right? So Gen Z, Gen Alpha, if they have not listened to Tupac, they don't know anything about him, right? If you do something like what I did, yeah, it took all week, took maybe about 2 hours of listening total, maybe 2 hours of listening total, 3 hours maybe. But if you do something like this, it'll be a super benefit, and it would make you appreciate it would certainly make you appreciate this guy if you've ever heard his name, Tupac. You know, because unfortunately, I think that we do a bad job of revering those in the past. We do a good job at talking shit. We do a good job at talking shit and like shitting on the past. And honestly, that sucks. I think that you should revere the greats of all times. And I think that you should do research on them. You know, if you are interested in said craft, and say you are a younger person, you're Gen Z, you were born in 97, right? So that makes you what, almost 30 now? Makes you almost 30, and your parents never messed with Tupac like that. You got a lot of Wayne, got a lot of maybe Kendrick, you got a lot of Ludacris, T.I., you know, you got a lot of Jeezy, and that's cool, right? That's cool, but a lot of those people are motivated by Pac. like that's the messed up thing. So the people that you revere, all of them people I named, have public interviews saying that like Pac is like an inspiration, or they were motivated by Pac. Literally, Wayne has said this, Jeezy has said this, Tip has said this. Like there are numerous people. So like you're doing yourself a disservice, and I would say that Tupac is underrated in regards to people not going back and doing what I just did. I have a super appreciation of Tupac now, and I was unaware of how much he was giving game. He was giving game out like for free. Well, not for free. You had to buy his album, right? But you had to get. It was honestly, it was impressive after doing this. It's impressive. So, and with that. That's StryfeSight on Tupac, baby. StryfeSight on Tupac, baby. Next week, we doing the opposite. You know, we started on the West Coast, even though Tupac is kind of New York West Coast. We starting the opposite. I'm gonna review Biggie's, and then we're gonna come right back here, and I'm gonna have some lengthy stuff to say about all of his albums and the music. There wasn't really, I wanted a sus bar category because I know I'm gonna start hearing some sus bars, but honestly, Tupac don't really have many sus bars. The weirdest one he had was, it was a bar about AIDS. I think it was, you never know, you might catch a cold and catch AIDS. I was like, what? In the 90s, we didn't necessarily have the research to understand HIV and AIDS that well. So Pac having the data to me seems unlikely. The data for that, because if you have HIV and you catch a cold, you could get AIDS. That is accurate and true. But in the mid 90s where Tupac was living, AIDS was HIV and AIDS was extremely scary and not taught very well about. So not taught very well about. That's the only like sus bar, because it makes it seem like you might catch a cold and get AIDS. Like that was the bar. You might catch a cold and get AIDS. And I'm just like, what? But I mean, if you think of it scientifically speaking, then it's okay, because you have to have HIV before you can get AIDS. So if you have HIV and you get a cold, then ta-da. Like you definitely actually could get AIDS. So from that, the weakening of your immune system. So, but yeah, that's StryfeSight on Tupac. That was beautiful, fun. Respect this guy. Go back and listen to his music. I listened to all of it on YouTube with the YouTube Red. It was a treat. I enjoyed it a lot. My favorite album is probably Me Against the World. Yeah, my favorite album is Me Against the World for sure. Although I have more songs added from All Eyes on Me. All Eyes on Me just has way too many bops. Way too many bops. But yeah, that's it. Stryfe. Now, yo, what up, Fury? What up, man? What up? I'm doing this new music content idea. You just came at the back end of it. I'll be doing the same thing around the same time next week, but it's gonna be Biggie. Actually, I'm not gonna be exclusively do hip hop. Go ahead and let that be known immediately. But I am going to start with hip hop. That's why he's your favorite rapper of all time, Fury. Well, so I like that is fire. That is your favorite artist of all time. My problem was that I didn't know much about him. Like, I didn't listen to a lot of his music. My parents, like, my father liked him, and like, but I only heard like Hail Mary and So Many Tears, and like, I think that California Love. I only heard a few of those and whatever the radio had played at the time. So I didn't really have that much info about Pop. I just know that a lot of people love him and stuff. I know a lot of people love him. And after doing all this research, I'd say rightfully so. I think that people also say he's not very lyrical. And I think that's not true either. But I understand why people say that, because early in his career, he was very lyrical, in my opinion, with Tupacalypse Now and Strictly for My Niggas. But late in his career, he slowed down and got more direct and aggressive. And because you slow down and get more direct and aggressive, it seems less complex than being really fast and like to do the Naughty by Nature style that he was doing. Like, hey man, Pac's music, even himself, he has a ton of layers. He has a fuck ton of layers. A fuck ton of layers. Honestly, damn, what's this beat, bro? This shit about to make me freestyle. I was not trying to freestyle to this. I wasn't trying to freestyle at all. How did we get here? Beat kind of hit me a little bit. Anyway, but yeah, Pac's music, even himself, he does have a lot of layers. The person, obviously, I think the person is harder. It might be harder to research him as a person than his music, honestly, because I feel like there's so much stuff that he got into and that he was able to do in the short 25 years that he lived that, like, it's honestly, it's impressive and really crazy. Impressive and really crazy. I wonder what my favorite song is. Now that's a hard joint. Favorite song? I love I Ain't Mad at You. I love Me Against the World. I love Against All Odds. I love Got My Mind Made Up. There's a lot. Yeah, I don't think I could pick a favorite song. He got too many. Like, you could look, I got a playlist. Like, I got a playlist, right? This playlist is like Older Feel, which is basically for music from the 90s to 2010 till 2010. And like, look at this Tupac section. I got 1, 2, 3, 4. I'm not counting like that, but like, look at this shit. All of this shit is Tupac. Yeah. All of this shit is Tupac, bro. It just depends on the mood you in. Yeah, cause you right. He do got a lot. He got a lot of songs per mood. Yeah. But yeah, what is this? What song is this? 23 to 1? So that means I added 23 songs from Tupac from going through his catalog. I would listen to it, but I would have listened to his music or man, what is this beat, bro? I'm adding this beat. I can't do it. I'm adding this beat. It's gotta go on the bars playlist, bro. Shit is cooking me. I want to freestyle to it so bad, but I'm not here to freestyle today. This guitar is fucking murking me right now. Damn, bro, that shit is fire. All right. And now I gotta shift. Your favorite song depends on. Yeah, man. Yeah, he got a lot of songs for a lot of moods. And honestly, bro, I'm so happy I just did that. Because it's not like I was disrespecting Pac ever. Like, I've never like done that. I just was, I guess, I was just ignorant to his music. There's so much I didn't know, and I'm really happy about it. My favorite album ends up being Me Against the World, and I believe my least favorite ends up being Strictly for My Niggas. Although, even Strictly for My Niggas had like some bangers on it. Like, so, and some songs I like. I said it earlier in the stream. So, but all right.